Yes, young Skywalker. Stream at night and go to night shift at your job. Only then will your journey towards the dark side be complete. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay, and my Ian McDermott impression is totally terrible, which is why I'm not here to stream weird Star Wars impressions like that. I'm way better at...
I'm better at Yoda, or something along those lines. I am better at Yoda impressions. I am.
Or is that too close to a World of Warcraft orc? I don't know. Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. May the 4th be with you, nerds. 3:07 at the Geek House. And as you can imagine, the tone of what it is that we are going to be talking about is going to take a very, very different turn. So let's say anyone just wants to stop by. Cool. I think Dan might stop by or something like that. This counter might be broken for all I know. Drinks at the ready, as always. But the big thing, too, I want to say a very special shout out to the people that watch these things after the fact. I know that YouTube has a blossoming VOD culture, or blossoming stream replay culture, where if you set up your streams just so, there can be interest after the fact and stuff along those lines. And I've seen a massive example of that recently with my gaming streams. So those of you that are involved with Elder Scrolls Online, maybe you've seen my screenshots over on Twitter or over on Instagram. Twitter.com/MultimediaJay, Instagram.com/MultimediaJay. Perhaps you've seen my pretty screenshots and you come over to the stream and maybe you saw me fooling around on the PTS for Elder Scrolls Online High Isle, or maybe you saw my little rant about how ZeniMax needs to do more with Castle Navire in the upcoming expansion. But the thing is, that stream where basically I tested out stuff in the PTS with Isabelle Valois, one of the new companions, has views and likes on par with my tech videos. Thank you, ESO folks. Maybe it's showing up in the search result in the directory for Elder Scrolls Online on YouTube. Yes, YouTube has game directories. They're just not as prominent as they are on Twitch. But if you bookmark a link to, say, Elder Scrolls Online or something, you can always just check the directory for videos and other stuff and use it as a content hub of sorts for live streams and recent videos. Maybe, actually, I have links to that. Why don't I just quit being a lazy ass and go look at that myself? Let's see. Where would I have that? Is it in my Firefox? Pop open a Firefox, please. Yes, I do. Elder Scrolls Online. Do I show up under the recent... Oh, look at this. There's people that are actually playing the wrong stuff. Do I... Maybe I made it into the directory. I don't know. Let's see. Valois, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to scroll now, but I'm actually seeing views. Let me see. No, it's not. I'm not in the directory, not anymore anyways. But the views and the likes on that stream have gotten up to the levels that my tech videos get, which is a lot for a stream. Because we know at YouTube, streaming is a newer thing on YouTube. It can be somewhat restricted and somewhat stupid compared to Twitch in some ways, shapes and forms. I very much believe that Twitch maintains a lot of its dominance with streaming because YouTube and Facebook can't get their freaking act together. I mean, it's just... Here's the latest greatest example. Let me just make sure there's nothing sensitive on the screen. Let me actually fire up. Let me see here. Where's redirects? There we go. Other channels. Let me go into browser mode. I'm already linked to my to Twitch stats. Let me change off to Firefox here. So I'm already linked up to this Sully Gnome stuff because I was looking at some data earlier and I found out about a CSV that I can download and point Power Query at to get hours watched and hours streamed on Twitch and track the audience ratio by month myself. So I'm going to do a Late Night Nerd Lounge stream probably tomorrow night if I'm home early enough. Late Night Nerd Lounge, and then complete the tech video tomorrow night for the next chapter in this whole E-Machine story. Because I want to make something in Power Query Maybe I should do the tech video first and then settle in for a late night nerd lounge stream. But yeah, I want to actually make something in Excel Power Query that points at the CSV from Sully Gnome and lets me analyze data for the audience ratio for Twitch, and then see if I can come up with a data source for YouTube, Facebook, and any other platform, and basically render the data that I used to use in the Streamlabs Stream Hatchet quarterlies completely obsolete. So we know there were the scandals with Streamlabs, and I haven't seen a quarterly from them since. They're a quarter behind now, so I have no real reason to believe. I'm going to have to check the data connections and the APIs, maybe see where Sully Gnome gets their data from. There's got to be an API or a data connection or something that's a place where they come up with these numbers. But at the very least, it'll allow me to monitor the audience ratio on Twitch for hours watched versus hours streamed to see that for every hour that a streamer is streaming, how many of the audience is watching hours-wise, without necessarily having to tie it to individual people, because we know that people can watch multiple streams and other wild cards like that. So I want to track specifically hours watched versus hours streamed. And there's a CSV in here that I could download and then link a Power Query file to and crunch the living daylights out of that stuff. That's something I want to make in like a late night nerd lounge behind the scenes stream, as it were. And we'll set up for that probably for tomorrow night. So I'm going to be nerding things out on Cinco de Mayo. But let's actually change the browser that this thing is hooked up to. Firefox, please. So here, there's a little something that came out over on us. Frozen on there. So there's a little something that just came out on YouTube. Live redirect is now available. Let's just get past the elephant in the room right now. Live redirect is now available on YouTube as something resembling a raids feature. So what does browser mode 2 show? It's just wrong. So live redirect is the raids feature on YouTube now. This is something that if we go back to, there's a clip that I have from something they talked about in the summer of 2020. We know that their user creator-led discovery or whatever it is was going to be a raids feature. Well, it is here now. Live redirect, one of the big features that YouTube has been looking to make for the streaming side of things, along with gifted memberships and other stuff like that. Live redirect has now gone live. The problem is exactly what we're seeing on the screen right now. You either have to flag your subscriptions as public in order to be able to get live redirects from people that you sub to, or you have to give individual channels permission to redirect you. Now, let me just say this with regards to a raids feature for YouTube streaming. One of the things that makes raids interesting on Twitch is when you catch the eye of a streamer who really wants to, send some love your way. The randomness of randos raiding you when it's not something toxic is actually something really cool. I think, it's a good default thing. But I'm wondering, do I really want to finally flag my subscriptions as public? Because that'll flag me in comments and other stuff. People be able to see how long I've been subbed to them. And, I subscribe. Well, the thing is, though, I've actually looked at my subscriptions on YouTube. I have over 1,000 YouTube subscriptions. There's got to be some out-of-date stuff or some weird stuff that I was watching, but I guess it can't be any worse than Twitter, where retweets does not mean endorsement. For example, I watch a few channels that I grotesquely disagree with, so that way that my inspiration or or whatever it is that I'm getting, inspiration from is not a giant, echo chamber. It's actually a very good thing if you try to understand, even if you don't agree with them, people that are significantly different from you, because it really helps you keep a good perspective on things. So when it comes to live redirect, I don't really see this doing much. I don't think it's going to work very well if we can't have the randomness of meeting new creators by having them raid you. Now, if there's harassment and stuff like that, obviously YouTube needs to take action on people that are organizing malicious raids to use live redirect, so to speak. But, something like this, though, you don't have any redirect privileges. Ask creators to add you to their list in community settings. Once a channel gives you redirect permissions, you can send your... I'm trying to read this through the preview. Let me just read it through. You can send your viewers to any of its streams or premieres that are upcoming or in progress. So a couple of uses for this. This is YouTube. It's not just about live streams. So if somebody has a premiere that's scheduled and you're like, hey, you know, I just want you folks add this as a reminder and we'll watch this video when it premieres on blah, 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 blah. So YouTube, once again, with as they pursue feature parity with Twitch, YouTube, once again, as they pursue, you know, feature parity with Twitch, puts their own take on things, and they make it so that the new features are appropriate for what YouTube offers, which is videos, streaming in short form, as well as a few other features, of course, because Facebook is an ever-persistent threat if they ever get their act together. So community tabs, text updates, picture updates, things along those lines. Yeah, I know, pictures on YouTube, who would have thought? But it's the world we live in, you know? If not you, then who? One of those wonderful things that pops up with regards to people and their attitudes and stuff like that. Yeah, you don't have any redirect privileges. Boo hoo 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 hoo. Well, it's a start anyways. So I'm actually I imagine it can't be any worse. I mean, I follow a few folks who I disagree with. I've followed a few folks who I disagree with over on Twitter before. So I imagine it can't be any worse than that. If someone can see, for example, that I'm subscribed to this, that, or the other, or something like that, I mean, people just subscribe to what they want. Just going to check my subscriptions and make sure there's nothing in there that would really make people get upset that I don't watch anymore. But I think that's really something that YouTube needs to look at here, is they need to realize that some people don't want their subscriptions public, but they do understand that if they type in sub-only mode, it reveals that they are subscribed to a channel anyways. So it's just a matter of, I don't want someone to be poking through my subscriptions and be like, what are you watching this for? I mean, it's my own decision what I watch on YouTube. Or perhaps, you know, it's time to look at making more use of what is usually a robust double-pronged account, so to speak, where your YouTube account has a personal side, and if you make like a brand channel or something, a persona or brand side. But part of what I do on here is that I'm very retro in how I do things on YouTube. So I run things the same way the YouTubers of the 2000s in the early days would have. It's just me. I do this just for fun, and it's kind of a recreational thing for me. And it's a heck of a lot of fun, by the way. When it goes well, it's really a lot of fun, especially for an AV nerd like myself. But the big thing is, though, I run this channel in a rather retro fashion. I'm not so certain that really getting sophisticated with personal versus persona, apart from you need to use your personal account to watch like digital movies that you've purchased that give you like digital copies through YouTube. Aside from that, I don't really feel the need to make this any more complicated than it needs to be. Maybe it could be that I'm getting old. I don't know. I am 40 now, so... But anyways, you don't have any redirect privileges. Boo hoo hoo. Nobody could raid me on YouTube. YouTube, you need to fix this. This is just this is complete garbage right here. I mean, it's raiding. Part of the fun of raid features on YouTube is the randomness. When it's the randomness with all of this. Let's see, let's cancel this change. Oh, look, it finally changed everything up here. Yeah, part of the fun on YouTube, or part of the fun of being rated on Twitch is the randomness and being able to, you know, meet new creators or be surprised when a creator that you're a huge fan of suddenly decides to raid you, like in the ESO community and stuff like that. I will say I'm tempted to stream some ESO over on Twitch because of how tightly knit the ESO community is over there, but I just don't want to get mixed up with people who you could say are propping up their streams with giveaways and stuff like that. I ask the question yet again regarding ESO. If other MMOs can hold their own without having to have these gimmicks and the game developers manipulating the discussions about their game on Twitch via drops and a stream team, why does ESO have to be in this position? But that's something we can talk about some other time. I have resubbed to World of Warcraft. Got to do some experiments and see if I can ever get these streams to look good without having to mess with a second PC. I want to check, so try again with the NVIDIA settings and things along those lines with 12 grand as the bit rate and see if I can get some good visuals. Because, quite frankly, if YouTube is going to process everything to crap, don't eat before going live, whatever. Especially if you're doing something like this. If YouTube is going to process everything into oblivion, then I really don't need to be spending money on faster bit rates that allow me to go beyond 9 grand up. So This is something we'll have to figure out here. All right, what else is on the recap list before we get into the discussion about this whole thing? Oh yeah, I should probably mention May the 4th be with you, like we did at the beginning of the stream. At the very same time, besides being a nerd holiday, May 4th is also when I got my second Moderna shot. So I've been fully vaccinated for a year now. Fully vaccinated. The federal definition anyways. Did get boosted in November. So talking with the doctor about whether with my conditions and whatnot, I might have to go get another one this month. But or wait for what comes out in the fall or something like that. But we got the BA 2121 stuff going on here in the Northeast. And I imagine by the time autumn rolls around, we'll probably be dealing with BA 4 and 5 out of South Africa, whichever one happens to make it over here. There are concerning issues with all three of these subvariants of Omicron. But like I've said earlier, though, I'm actually willing to acknowledge the blue-collar side of the pandemic that people don't want to talk about, and I'm sure the politicians are not going to talk about in this upcoming election season. And that is a simple fact that getting kicked out of work on quarantine costs money. Big money. Think about it for a second here. Amazon, there was a leak over at Amazon where their HR posted a little something about, oh, well, yeah, we're changing our sick time policies back to regular sick time, blah, blah, blah. If you test positive, you get up to 5 unpaid days, and you come back with a negative test, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah. So if you come down with COVID, and you get kicked out in quarantine, and you work at Amazon, you work a 5-day week, you lose 5 days of work, congratulations, you got COVID, you get kicked out of work and lose a paycheck. Who is talking about it like this? Anywhere, at any level, any politicians, any state or local governments, definitely not the people in D.C., the feds. No, none of this crap. Yeah, okay, congratulations, you got COVID, you lose a paycheck. You don't have to pay your bills with one less paycheck this month, assuming you don't have complications like long COVID or something. Where is the discussion about its impact on essential superheroes, hourly workers? As I'll tell you what, your salaried manager in many corporate settings, they get stuck home for a week or two with COVID. They're going to work from home. They're going to work from home and do stuff remotely. Whoa, I forgot to mention the most important part. They're on salary. Yeah, they're on salary. So they still get they still get their paycheck even when they're working remotely. You? Good luck fighting with HR or whatever for that. It's like, yeah, do you even have a benefit? And if it is like I mentioned, short-term disability, 60% of your wages for a certain amount of time, okay, congratulations. But if you knocked your wages down, run the numbers one more time, just to drive the point home one more time. You work in one of these warehouse jobs around here that in the bigger companies is hiring people around $20 an hour. Asterisk. I really need to do something about this darn thing. I'll just click it. Times 0.6. You're down to $12 an hour, essentially. Congratulations, you're below minimum wage in the state of Connecticut. You're living somewhere where the cost of living and everything is being retooled around $20 an hour, but because you're out on disability because you got COVID, you're making the equivalent of $12 an hour. Congratulations. It's just like, look at the numbers, people. I don't see why this has to be such a project. You like having money, right? So, anyways, driving that point home once again. What else do we have for a recap? We'll talk about what happened to the last stream. So last stream, I ranted about a whole bunch of stuff because it's probably the first time I ever attempted to do a rant in a very long time. I'm a grumpy old guy. I might rant from time to time. The problem is, as we're going to talk about this Cook Sucks thing, ranting is the sort of stuff, rants and other stuff, yeah, they can entertain some people. The problem with negative content is it attracts a negative audience. And you have to ask yourself, do you really want those people around, especially when you start getting people with behavioral problems who just want to see you upset and frustrated all the time. And the minute you start doing anything constructive, they hate you. You veered away from the formula. You're not giving them what they subscribe for. You should be constantly failing and failing and failing at everything in order for them to be entertained in a sick way. For example, let's see if the bozo stopped by tonight. the bozo who I know is subscribed to me, because they'll do this even when a stream replay is unlisted, who hates my chat streams at the very least, and goes out of their way, I should say, every time they're online to dislike every single one of my streams. It's like, get a life already. How many times have we gone through this again? But yeah, there's a great example. There was a problem I had in the 2010s where I did too much negative stuff. Started getting people who wanted to see me upset all the time. And when I wasn't upset, they either blew off the uploads and didn't watch, or they actually got upset with me, or they gave me problems. Or they tried to get me upset because they want me to feel terrible. So it's a thing. It's a thing. If you attract people that are like that, they're going to cause problems. It's not if, but when. And you're going to have to go out of your way to bore those people away or drive those people away. In one case with somebody who I wound up banning from the channel, it was very heated. So when I went and checked out the replay afterwards, I'm not really much of a ranter anymore. I don't want to be destroying my voice, talking like a WWE wrestler or anything along those lines. And furthermore, anger just makes you look like you're an emotional windbag. Many of the best and most successful people that I've known in life and in my career have been among the most level-headed. Level-headedness means something in this world where everybody's trying to tick you off, including robots on social media platforms. I know I sound like a talk radio guy by default, especially if I crank up some more effects on these microphones. But at the very same time, I know I also sound like a radio guy because of, the stuff I talk about and the way I talk about it. But where was I going again? check the replay for that kind of thing. So it's just negative audiences lost the train of thought. Heck with it. Bottom line, negative audiences make things worse, and you have to realize a good audience is better than a big one, like the title kind of says here. So anyways, I'm not really much of a ranter anymore. I listen, it seemed like, just terrible across the board. So I was like, no, get rid of it. This is the sort of stuff that attracts a bad audience too, because then you get the people who just want to see you upset all the time, and so on and so forth. But I did save it for stuff from streams, so I might make a stuff from streams and talk about what happened with COVID Act Now, adding the infection rate back into their charts, and maybe the heel mic impression attempt number 2. Where it's the noise cancellation in this mic is really screwing up my ability to do a heel mic impression. I think I need to set up the other mic in order to do that. So, yeah, we're just going to figure that out. But in terms of, what it was, it's a rant. Number one, it was a rant, which is out of place on this channel. It's better to be level-headed and keep things constructive. And that's something I've learned over the years. Also, of course, with advertisers now part of YouTube and that affecting things like your CPMs, which, by the way, are better on YouTube than they are on Twitch most of the time. You want to be advertiser-friendly and professional. You really don't want to look like the sort of person that gets unhinged over the tiniest little things. Yeah, sure, you'll be boring to some people. But the truth of the matter is, outrage algorithms are out there. If you start looking like you have a strong opinion on something, they try to feed you more stuff that goes along with whatever your bias happens to be. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a break from all of that? If you could actually have a civil discussion? And what happens when you get so used to people being wound up all the time and outrage algorithms and outrage media that it actually becomes something of an event whenever somebody actually is calm and level-headed? Take Mr. Rogers, for example. Children's show. I grew up watching Mr. Rogers when I was a little kid. But there were grown-ups that actually liked, how his calm, delivery and talking about, even though he was doing a children's show, it was great to see with all the running around and stress and stuff, something calm and peaceful on television, even if it was PBS. And so I wonder if maybe, there's even psychological talk about whether kids with tablets and stuff at a young age are just getting a sensory overload of pretty much sights and sounds that are just way too much for their developing brains to handle. And so I often wonder, especially with chill content and what Twitch streamers call wholesome, I often wonder about that kind of stuff as to whether the world needs more of something else to break up the monotony of never-ending outrage, FUD, conspiracy theories, etc. I mean, I know there's people that gravitate to that stuff, but yeah, wouldn't it be nice if there was kind of a break from all that? And the whole idea of a break from something being something that's the centerpiece of some kind of production. I mean, that's what Cheers was all about. Listen to that theme song. You know, wouldn't be nice. Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your troubles sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Come down to where everybody knows your name. And it's lyrics are just say it all right there. The show itself was supposed to be kind of like a break from whatever you were dealing with. And so we see all these old shows and other stuff that kind of explores these ideas and stuff. And then I'm over here trying to rant. Not doing a very good job at it either. I'm just not much of a ranter anymore. I think fundamentally the biggest issue is going to be, and many of the issues that I ranted about with the rants, with that rant, are relevant now, but YouTube is a platform for the long haul. So in like 4 or 5 years, when people stumble across, oh, I was mad about this back in May of 2022, and it's just like, it just is not really going to be worth it then. I mean, do I really want to have time-sensitive videos that I feel like I need to delete after a certain amount of time has passed because of this crap? No, I've been down that road before, mostly with vlogs. So I don't think it's really, really worth it with that kind of stuff. So yeah, the rant, I kept the best part of it. Might make a stuff from streams for that, although I do have to do some changes that the stuff from streams look more like videos. Thinking like some splash logos, splash intro, splash outro, and make them look more like videos so I can just use the trimmer and the splitter to make videos out of streams for the stuff from streams type stuff and have it look more natural instead of like I just, jump cutted everything. One of the things I do with stuff from streams is I experiment and I see just how useful YouTube's cloud tools are. So I could download, edit, re-upload literally anything I want, but I want to see how good the cloud editor is for convenience and people on mobile and stuff along those lines. And also to see if it's possible to make stuff that people like by only using cloud tools and stream footage to make it. That would be cool if I could get that to work. So, what else is and how about we talk about the stuff we ranted about? Called the landlord about the incorporation and going LLC. They are incorporating and making a small company because, let's face it, the landlord and his business partner just couldn't do it all anymore. They have too many properties to keep up with them all, whether for repairs, leases, things along those lines. It's just been a mess. These folks have been just like running all over the place, especially during the housing bust of the 2010s, which is when I moved in over here and scored the deal on this place. It looks like they're keeping it a deal. I keep an eye on fair market rent, so even though they raised the rent, it's still a bit of a deal here. It's just not as much of a deal as it was before. But I'll keep an eye on this place's rent relative to the fair market rent, because I can tell you this place has some issues. There was a time when I thought about paying a little more and moving to not have to deal with some of the logistical issues of the property. So if these people push it a little too hard, I might actually think of moving. Also, just see if I can score a deal somewhere, something like that. That would probably be in the winter time. Prices for rentals are lower in the winter time because who the heck wants to move on snow and ice? So I got to wait for the winter cycle to come around. And if the incorporation means signing a lease, I'm going to have to ask if I could put something in that lets me have it only be 6 months instead of a year. But it's just, we'll have to see how this all works with these folks, with the incorporation and everything. Also talked with my dad. I mean, my dad does not share my interest in online media, so his answer again was he does not want to be in any video, and he has a very stern take on YouTube and thinks the internet is all just people that want to harass you all the time. I really think that this generation gap, I've tried to do something about it, but if he wants to keep the generation thing going on his end, then he can just wonder why it just seems like we don't really associate with each other much anymore, except the occasional email here and there. But look, I've taken the steps with the olive branch to try and understand the baby boomers and his perspective. He could take the steps with the olive branch to try to understand why younger people are the way they are these days. But we'll save that for something else. What else is going on here? What other stuff we have? I do have the thing for Twitch and the and the sub splits, but that's worth its own discussion, which we're not going to have today. Today was actually very, very exhausting. So part of the whole rearranging the heck out of the job with the 9-to-5ers is that they want the person running the palletizer machine, instead of picking furniture, which is cool, less heavy lifting that way, they want this person to run around and get more cardio, taking care of making sure all the trailers are in the right doors. Well, what happens if you have a situation where it's not all done and ready for a clean flip, and you have to keep flipping things, keeping track of stuff? So that's actually the sort of thing I got to get used to. But tonight was definitely a round of cardio, that's for sure. And I definitely felt it driving home. I hadn't done this much running around in a long time. We'll see what happens when I wake up tomorrow. So tonight is going to just be, we're going to talk about this cook sucks thing, and specifically the difference between a good audience and a big audience after the intermission. We're going to come back for a main discussion and talk about that. For tomorrow, what I'm looking at for tomorrow is Wednesday is usually the shortest shift of the week, because we have the least to do on a Wednesday. If we're not getting bombarded with some prize volume and I'm home early enough, number one, we'll get the tech video done, ready to edit, so we can get the e-machine off of the desk over there and make room for a Lenovo Part 3. But I want the camera footage to finally be on the computer by tomorrow night. So we'll do that first. Then we can come back and we'll actually do like a late night nerd lounge on here live, making that thing in Power Query, which is one of the things I want to do with streams, is have them be similar to the tech videos, but instead of tinkering in a video format with hardware, tinker with things in software in real time. Excel and Power Query and the language and stuff like that is very awesome in Microsoft Office, because Excel Power Query uses the same Power Query as Power BI. So if you have numbers to crunch, Excel is just so great at it these days. It's not, I mean, spreadsheets are not just like the digital ledger paper of the 80s and 90s anymore, or the 2000s when I saw people using spreadsheets instead of databases. Hence that infamous quick flick I did about, what was it? You need an effing database. Way back 2016-ish or so. Dan says, yeah, I like learning about software. Oh, thanks for stopping by. Also, again, shout outs to the people watching these after the fact, especially the ESO people that were watching my game stream after the fact, because I know a lot of those views did not come from when I was live. It was actually quite quiet and chill when I was live, and I was checking that out. But there have been the views on the Lady Isabel stream are up there with the tech videos. So are the likes. That's awesome. See if we can do more stuff like that, especially have a tie-in with the wonderful looking screenshots that I put over on Twitter and over on Instagram from ESO. And maybe World of Warcraft as well, since I resubbed the game. So the plan is, after this is all done tomorrow night, we're basically stopping the channel. The computer arrives on Thursday, and we do the upgrade. We make a tech video probably Friday to Saturday, depending on what we want to do and stuff like that. He picks it up on Sunday. And I got to check and see if I can schedule Sunday off. So that way we're not racing against the clock. If he can actually come down here and he can try it out and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be a Friday, Saturday project. Pretty chill while we're playing video games on this machine or something like that. But there will be a tech video. He's just not going to be in it. So we'll just pick up with a Lenovo with the installation of the SSD and the little bonus that I picked up as well that'll make that thing a lot snappier. I guess the real question with my dad is, and there's so many things up in the air right now, Windows 11, for example, is just floundering versus Windows 10. Microsoft has the same problems they've had for a very long time. Every other version of Windows sucks. So, and Windows 10 is turning into the new Windows XP. So I really wonder if we're not going to run into another situation where Microsoft extends the life cycle of Windows 10 because people don't want to give it up. It's just like, we're going to have another Windows XP on our hands. So if that happens, then middle of this decade is not when it goes EOS. So my dad would be like notably into his 70s before he had to think of perhaps buying a computer that was compatible with Windows 11. So it's just... I also told him, too, that the SSD is a transferable upgrade. If he buys a computer that has a hard drive, if they still exist by then, if he buys a computer with a hard drive for Windows 11 compatibility, like years down the road, we can just upgrade it on the spot for them and bring over the SSD to get some snappiness in there. I think the big thing's going to be the RAM. But there's some things going on with PC hardware that I'm a little suspicious of, particularly some of the things with AMD and Intel and how that's going to affect the way things... I think for the time being, my favorite processor is going to be the Ryzen 5700X, which isn't even the new hardware yet. We really got to see how things hammer out with what's coming out in terms of processors. It's also the chip shortages, things like that too. But anyways... So yes, we're going to be making a video about upgrading the Lenovo. We're going to clean it out. We're going to upgrade it. We're going to see how it all goes. It is very chuggy because it only had 4 gigs of RAM and a mechanical hard drive when we picked it up years ago. One of the things that I was concerned about back then was not voiding the warranty to put in something like an SSD for them. Well, we are way past the warranty on that Lenovo, so no issues there. Anyways, yeah, everything's here. Everything's ready to go. We're going to do that. And indeed, it's going to be a fun weekend. Then afterwards, I really don't know what I want to do. It's just gonna finish out this wave of tech videos, though. I want to explore. Besides, there are some tech projects available, but they're more electronics in nature, so I imagine people just mass abandon the videos for that. But at the very same time, there are other things I want to do. There are assets I want to work on. There's some streaming I want to do. There's game streaming I want to do. And the other thing that I want to do is make video essays about various things. That'll be a completely new format for me. Narrative-driven video essays to put on this. It might be the case that people want me to, start another channel for those because it'll be just so radically different from what I've already done so far. Let's see. AM4, Windows 10, Windows 11. Yeah, we'll deal with that tech stuff when we get to it. So for now, let's just take a little intermission here, refill drinks, and let's get ready to talk about how a good audience is better than a big one, particularly with regards to Cook Sucks and the crap he decided to start when he decided to get into a little argument with me on Twitter. This guy is one of those people that runs his mouth and ends up with his foot in his mouth and tries to hide the fact that he's wound up with his foot in his mouth. But one of the problems with arguing with people on the internet is it's a great idea to find out who they are and what they do. Cook Sucks didn't. Won't you be my neighbor? I don't know, some of that jazz interlude stuff kind of gets me wondering about some of that sort of. Again, I mean, it's just like, this is why chill content and wholesome, whatever content is, why it is such a thing these days, is that just getting a break from all the running around is something that people can look forward to. And that's one of the reasons why I look into formats like Late Night Nerd Lounge and other stuff. Late Night Nerd Lounge, I gotta look that up. That doesn't sound like a very original name. Somebody is using that, right? It's just somebody has to be using it. There is no way. That doesn't sound very original at all. Nerd Bar in Whoa. I'm looking on Google for this. Nerd Bar in Houston, Texas. Nerdy Things to do in Phoenix. Best late night place in Reno for nerds. All right. Wait. How about we take a look on YouTube? I mean, I have referred to some of my chat streams as that before, but let me just see here. Nothing's going to autoplay, is it? Late Night Nerd Lounge. And I'm not signed in, so it's best for this kind of stuff. No, he's got lo-fi beats and stuff like that. It looks like I'm surprised. Doesn't sound like a very original name at all. It shouldn't be anything all that great here. All right, let's take a look at some stuff, particularly in browser mode for this. So the title of the stream tonight, A Good Audience is Better Than a Big One. This is something, thanks Indigestion, screwing up my little intro there, whatever. So this is a big thing when it comes to content creation. If you have to choose between a good audience and a big audience, choose the good audience, even if you are smaller, less famous, and make less money. Because when you decide you no longer have standards for who you associate with, including the people that find you interesting on these platforms, you sign yourself up for a whole bunch of problems. So here's the thing with all of this. Think back to 2020 with the XFL, when Vince McMahon was bringing back the XFL. What was one of the things that he said with regards to what he does, what he was doing at the time? Of course, we know that the pandemic cut the season short and he had to basically sell everything, and now The Rock is the owner of the XFL, or something like that. He basically had to sell the whole darn thing off. One of the things that Vince McMahon said that really kind of resonated with me at the time was the quality of the human being was just as important as how good they were at playing football. It wasn't just about who the best football players were they could get for his league. It was about actual upstanding people that could be respected both on and off of the field. And this is something I think that a lot of folks in business need to really, really learn about. Why am I so itchy? I don't know. This is something that a lot of folks in business really have to rediscover in some ways, because you can have brilliant jerks in the workplace and you can have toxic people that get a lot done, but then they're abusive and they transactionalize their behavior so that hopefully the good outweighs the bad. And so there are always drawbacks. They just try to make up for their drawbacks by behaving themselves. And here's the question I have. Why would you put up with somebody who has those drawbacks if you can find somebody who's just as good that doesn't have those drawbacks? And that's something else that you have to keep an eye on as well. Many times when you're dealing with toxic people that do this crap, they carve out little jobs for themselves by sabotaging the success of anybody that could be their successor. I think I'm dealing with some of that with some of this trailer stuff that I'm working with these 9-to-5ers. So the folks who were doing it before don't have very good attitudes. I don't trust them to train me properly. And so we're probably going to have to come up with a better way of doing things to counter attempts to sabotage me into not being a proper successor to them. One of the ways you make yourself look good is by making other people look bad. Going through life like it's a zero-sum game. Make yourself look good by making other people look bad. Problem is, you run into somebody like me who calls you out on that nonsense, and that's a completely different discussion altogether. So if you have to choose between Big audience and a good audience, go with the good audience, even if it means you're smaller or less famous or something like that. Now, the way I usually talk about this is with demographics and stuff. Demographics, groups of people, types of folks watching, etc. How do you design your content so that you attract the good people and repulse the bad people? You know, who do you want? Who don't you want? Who do you want to attract and who do you want to repulse? We've talked about this before over the years. The repulsion part of it is less politically correct, but the truth of the matter is that brands and other folks out there do this. Take a luxury brand, for example, or any brand that wants to be viewed as luxury. One of the ways that they are viewed as luxury is by pricing out customers that can't afford the luxury goods. People might be outraged at the prices, but the truth of the matter is it's a luxury brand. Part of being luxury is that your item is expensive for whatever reason, and buying your product is a form of a status symbol. You know, when you're driving a certain car, or for women or whoever, you're wearing certain perfumes, using certain handbags, or wearing certain suits and ties and things along those lines. Conspicuous consumption and luxury goods are a great example of brand stuff where the company involved. What's that beep for? Oh, yeah, that's right. Guy with the pony car is probably about to head out, isn't he? He does early morning shifts, so he might get a vroom vroom while he's getting going. So if I was on day shift, he'd be my wake-up call. There should be a vroom vroom of a pony car starting up if it makes it through the noise barrier thingies anytime soon, or sometime in the next couple of minutes. 3:53 at the Geek House. So if you have to choose, conspicuous consumption, buying shoes, says Dan, that is absolutely correct. Shoes are another biggie. I remember Air Jordans and how much those used to cost versus, regular shoes. It's especially interesting when you have something that's expensive and meant to be shown off if you buy it and it isn't as good, or it's the same quality as something else. You just paid for the name. I remember when I was in high school, Abercrombie and Fitch was all over the place. Even that LFO song from the 90s, I like girls who wear Abercrombie and Fitch. even that LFO song from way back then. So, but the idea of a $50 shirt to someone like me who just used Walmart stuff and didn't really feel the need to have big logos or anything like American Eagle or Abercrombie or something like that. And then you see like Hollister or Forever 21 today, and I'm like, if I was a Zoomer, I'd probably just stick to Five Below or something. But but the thing is, you can buy a name a certain amount of times when you're young and dumb, but eventually you start, Hot Topic. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I don't go out. As you can tell, I don't go out of my way to buy clothes where you're mostly buying a name because I'm not stupid like that. So I want something good and I want something practical. Plus, for the 9-to-5ers running around in these industrial park environments, showing up with all your best clothes is a recipe for, ruining all your best clothes. As we see in the summertime, when the college students and the recent high school grads that still haven't gotten their head out of high school show up in their fancy clothes and go home sore and with blisters and going nuts because there's little pallet chips or something like that, or dust all over one of their favorite super expensive shirts. No, get some crap from Walmart and that you can destroy and wear that, and get some good work shoes, because you're going to get like dust all over them and stuff along those lines. But you want stuff on the bottom for your feet so you're not so sore all the time. So you're working in an industrial park, dress like it. It's a wonder we don't have a dress. Well, we do have a dress code. We don't have uniforms is what I'm thinking. I actually had a job once with uniforms. Cable company. That sucked. I looked so generic. You'd think I was trying to do some kind of Jim Carrey impression or something if you ever seen the Cable Guy movie. Yay. All right, how about we actually get back to the freaking topic here? A good audience is better than a big one. If you have to choose between a good audience and a big audience, choose the good audience, because it comes down to one of the things I say with regards to like audience and fan base. Your audience is who watches you, irrespective of whether they like you or not. And your fan base is the people that like and support you. I differentiate between the two because this blanket term of my community is a thing on Twitch. And then these Twitch streamers wonder, why are there bad people in my community? Because you're using a word that literally means the only thing they have in common is that they watch you. That's it. It says nothing about whether they actually like or support you. Hate watchers, drama. Yeah. Call it out for what it is. Don't use blanket terms that, that as though it was everybody who watches you is always a fan. That's not the case whatsoever. So, yeah, if you have to choose between a good audience and a big one, take the good one. If you take the big one, it's going to have its problems. Now, the source of all of this is, the reason why we're here and having this conversation tonight is a certain Twitch streamer who goes by the name Cook Sucks. Now, Cook Sucks is a guy that I can relate to. We're both older guys doing this content creation stuff. He's a Twitch streamer, and I'm just this little guy on YouTube. Well, little in the sense of the channel and who watches it nowadays. Been around since 06, had its ups and downs. Definitely it was more fun when there were more viewers in the middle of the 2010s than there are today. And of course, before the adpocalypse, before the algorithms took over everything, it was a very different world. The important thing to remember is that Cook Sucks and I come from two different universes with this stuff. He's a Twitch streamer. He focuses on, live audience just like the platform does. Myself, I focus on the long haul. And I'll tell you right now, these gray hairs didn't come out of nowhere. I've been around long enough to see numerous YouTubers have long haul problems, so to speak. And I'm not talking COVID. So, there have been YouTubers over the years that I've seen have all kinds of problems. So even though I have mostly been a recreational YouTuber until I started doing some things somewhat seriously in 2020. Even though I've mostly been a recreational YouTuber, I go back a lot. And when you start factoring in my college background and audiovisual stuff and some of the creative stuff I was doing in high school and college with presentations, then we can start talking about, I take this stuff seriously enough that I'm always trying to learn lessons from stuff that's happening to others, even, channels that are bigger than me. So when I saw, for example, channels self-destruct, like Armeg21, or channels ruin their reputation like Irate Gamer, when if his fans showed up on your YouTube channel, it was game over in your comments sections, because people were mobbing and brigading with Irate Gamer long before they did this kind of crap on Twitter. So I've seen a lot of problems over there. I've seen Review Tech USA brag about how he was becoming a full-time content creator and nerf his content's quality because what got him to where he could go full-time as a YouTuber, the stuff that got him there was not what kept him there. And so the content that he might have wanted to make as a full-time content creator, he had to change in order to pay the bills. So then we see more of a focus on FUD type stuff, conspiracy type stuff, courting controversy, things along those lines. It was a different world before he became a full-time YouTuber back in the 2010s. But he's just one of various examples I've seen over the years where becoming a full-time content creator nerfs your content. Because when you need to pay your bills with the stuff you're doing, you lose some creative freedom in the process. And that's why, you can see, for example, a redemption arc for certain content creators who are full-time, because they get to the point where they can just do whatever they want. And you see their creative freedom come back because money's no longer an issue. So let's see. I unsubbed, says Dan, I unsubbed to RTU, not very fun person to hang around. The thing is, you just got too much into FUD and stuff. I mean, why should I waste any time listening to opinion columns from people who get overly emotional like that? Same thing with Heel versus Babyface. Although Heel versus Babyface was a wonderful example of somebody who was stuck with World of Warcraft and had to overcome their own toxic audience in order to become a general purpose channel. So that's another example. So bottom line is, I'm inspired by Devin Nash, but I don't have to copy the guy because I can be quite analytical and critical myself. So anyways, back to browser mode here. So why don't we go over so this is the state of things over on Twitch. This is the long-term stats. The big thing we're watching, of course, is this plateau. I do have my pointer, right? Click. Now I do. So this plateau represents when things took off during the pandemic lockdowns. And this represents people being introduced, many people being introduced to online media who previously obviously weren't watching it. It happened on Twitch and it happened on YouTube. It peaked in the middle of 2021, been a bit of a decline since then, a few ups and downs, but for the most part, it's not what it was at its peak. The question is, how much further is this going to drop? I don't think it's going to drop back down to the numbers you saw in 2019, but I think it is going to drop across the board as people who maybe got into online media and stuff don't watch it as much. But another very important thing I forgot to mention when I talked about this, and I started mentioning the bursting streaming bubble, is don't forget Twitch is trying to work on its own discoverability problems too, with the rollouts of algorithms. More algorithms who introduce people to similar style streamers, including in some very weird ways. And also, don't forget that Twitch also has competition with YouTube and all kinds of other stuff, things like that going on. And at the same time, YouTube's trying to get better. And if Facebook tries to get better, it's going to be a real serious issue. Because even Facebook, it gets better. And it's an omni-media platform if they succeed, if they actually get their stuff together. That would be a threat to both YouTube and Twitch. But by and large, this is the table right here. This is the plateau. It peaked in early 2021. Now we got to see how much it drops. The problem is we keep having COVID waves. So it's going to take a little bit more. It's going to take, for example, like no big variant going around to see things drop even more. Right now, it's an election year in the United States. And the U.S. government and the federal folks are doing everything they can to give the appearance of having made progress on the pandemic. But we here in the Northeast, we are not fooled. And of course, cases are rising around the country as well. So I don't know if that's going to be all that successful. But the thing to watch here is how much does this number decline? And how much does Twitch change their platform to encourage people to watch far more streamers than they do right now? Because that's the important thing to remember here is that as a platform, Twitch just wants you watching someone. It doesn't necessarily matter who it is, just so long as you're contributing the watch hours, the ads are being served to you for the ad breaks, and you're subbing, cheering, using bits, etc. So when it comes to, so Twitch, that's a weird thing. It's basically a recreation of what happens with businesses when they care about their customers but not their employees. Of course, Twitch streamers are not employees of Twitch as a company, But you see what I mean? Creators kind of fall by the wayside in favor of Twitch trying to find ways to court viewers directly or through a wide variety of streamers that are available to watch. So anyways, the reason why I'm here is I found out about all this wonderful data down here. I want to build an Excel file that links to this and gives me the audience ratio for hours watched versus hours streamed on a monthly level. That's going to be fun. They got to find an API to get that stuff from YouTube and Facebook. I got to see where Streamlabs, StreamHatchet got their stuff from and try and find a way to emulate that data connection. I was looking around at all of this. And of course that inspired me. Now let's get to the Cook Sucks tweets here. What's this? We are not alike, nor are we friends. You are so in denial, Cook. You are absolutely so in denial because you're posting on here. I've been bullied by kids my entire high school life, strangers, my bosses, and now by thousands of people on Twitch. But you know what? If I can tough it out, make great friends, have awesome experiences, and earn a living doing it, so can you. Bullies ain't crap. Keeping it family friendly, of course. So what began here with this crap here is somebody was giving him a hard time because he's been doing the whole e-begging thing in Twitch streams. I don't know if that's part of the character that he's doing here or what. So the problem is, if he really is the person he portrays himself on camera, then he is highly emotional, highly beta, highly whiny, and the guy's going to drive himself nuts. His streaming career will end via something that snowballs, people mass abandoning him because he becomes too much of a hot potato, or him getting deplatformed. Look, YouTube is peppered with examples of content creators who made it big and then couldn't handle the audience that they attracted. One of the things that's going on with YouTube versus Twitch is that Twitch has problems that YouTubers have had before. A lot of people point to Ice Poseidon as a wonderful example of the problems of IRL. Ice Poseidon was nowhere near the first person to have the problems that he had. He was just the big example of having the problems with IRL streaming at a time when Twitch had to figure out what they should do in terms of IRL. And of course, nowadays your IRL streams are moving selfies and occasional things like that because there's community guidelines on Twitch now that are very specific about people's privacy, not invading people's privacy and stuff along those lines, and making sure that you don't film people who don't want to be filmed and all kinds of other stuff and things along those lines. So this whole situation here is just this is just nuts, because you know what, I've seen this before there was Ice Poseidon was the big example because he got Twitch on national news because someone doxed his airport terminal and got the plane grounded. This was a brand risk for Twitch and even live streaming in general. So, but he was far from the first person to have these problems. Let me just recap a few examples throughout the years of brand damage and other issues related to people attracting audiences they can't handle. I talked about RMake21. RMake21 has talked about why he shut down his accounts, why he shut down RMake21, then he did like Nicotine Alien, a new alias, and then he shut that one down. But the original RMake21, here's what it was. For those of you unfamiliar with RMake21, when the angry video game nerd became popular, he inspired people, and there was an entire community of satirical, angry game reviewers on YouTube at the time. One of them was a guy, Marco, he goes by now, but he was known as RMake21 back then. And this guy had a few good things going for him. In terms of being angry, his anger was more believable. So believable that I had to wonder if he was what's the temperature in here? I feel like I'm freezing, even though it's 73. Oh, this guy's anger was very, very believable. He also went bald at a very young age, so he shaved the rest of his hair and went around looking like the guy from the Brotherhood of Nod in Command and Conquer. So this guy went and he did all this other. This guy went and his anger was way more believable than James's. Maybe he was really angry in real life. Who knows? But this guy, I actually have in my classic YouTube playlist some of the more popular videos that I used to like from him, like the what is it, Quattro Adventure Review and some other things. And I believe was Demon Sword in there as well. I don't know, but there's a channel called RMake Archive that has RMake21 videos. Keep in mind you're watching YouTube videos from the 2000s that someone re-uploaded, so the quality is going to be abysmal by today's standards. But you think about it, back in the days of video upload limits and all kinds of other crap, this was entertaining because of the personality behind it, similar to the way Twitch is today, where a strong personality is a great way to amount to something on Twitch, because there really isn't much else in terms of technology or algorithms to really get you there. So Twitch in many ways has a lot of things in common with the YouTube of yesteryear, and that's one of the reasons why people are attracted to Twitch to become streamers if they were previously involved on YouTube. But RMake21, one of the problems, and this was a problem with a lot of these reviewers, is that because they had this negative content, because they're doing angry, satirical video game reviews, and some of them got the anger down better than James. The other thing, too, is they weren't as professional as James Rolfe, who admitted it was satirical. And he made a lot of people accuse his anger of being fake nowadays. Well, yeah, he is acting out of character. He actually is a pretty chill guy when he's just being himself in his other Cinemassacre videos. Not everybody who was inspired by the nerd, though, was as refined as the nerd, and RMake was one of them. And so, because there were signs that his anger was real, and he really was that emotional in real life, because there were signs of that, it was attracting people who were trolling the hell out of him every single time he made a video. His comments would fill up. Back then, there was an ancestor of today's community tabs on YouTube profiles. His community page would just fill up with spam complete spam, trolling, hatred, stuff like that. The guy just couldn't delete it all. He couldn't police it all properly because he was just getting pestered so much. And it was ultimately because he was being toxic and he attracted a toxic audience. So just more and more and more toxicity, anger, bleeding out of the videos into the administration of how he did his channel, similar to the angry Twitch streamers of today. Just anger, problems, toxicity, harassment, all kinds of stuff that YouTube would be a lot stricter about today, but this is the 2000s we're talking about. And then one day his channel disappears. Now he has an official explanation as to why he deleted his original RMake21 channel. It's over on his current channel nowadays under the new Marco name or whatever it is nowadays. Haven't been over there in a while. The Waste of Time, I think, is the name of it. The truth of the matter is, though, he can say whatever he wants. People that were around in those days noticed that his channel devolved into being a toxic cesspool before he shut it down. Then there was the Irate Gamer, who from the beginning of Chris Boers' involvement with YouTube showed they had a bit of a hard time understanding how he came across to others. Even if he was inspired by the AVGN when he was parodying the AVGN's jokes in various ways, because of the whole rip-off thing and because of this disconnect between the way that he acted on camera and the way that he did this, that, or the other. The way he acted on camera and the way he conducted himself, because of that constant disconnect where he didn't understand how he was coming across to others, people misinterpreted him. I was one of the few people that didn't. See, I understood back in the days when people were saying, Irate Gamer is going to take down the AVGN. He's going to become more popular. He's going to rip off the AVGN and fake it till he makes it. And I was over here like, none of that is going to happen. People are going to recognize a store brand AVGN for what he is. And that store brand AVGN is not going to be as popular. The results speak for themselves. Go check his subscription numbers versus Cinemassacre. And go check how long it is between when he makes videos nowadays versus what Cinemassacre is doing, what James is doing. It's like, and this was a gigantic argument in the YouTube comments with AVGN versus Irate Gamer. And eventually the drama got so big. This is back when YouTube did things differently, of course, and they weren't as strict on some things. It got to the point where if Irate Gamer fans showed up in your comments, it was all over. There would be no constructive discussion. You might as well close the comments completely. It would literally be just a bunch of crap. So whether Chris intended to do that or not, he wound up with it. Whether it was actually Chris filing DMCAs against people criticizing him or somebody who stole the name Y2B Productions, bottom line is, part of managing something like this is managing the image of what people think you're doing and not making excuses for it. So it got to the point where if the Irate Gamer fans showed up, it was all over in terms of any kind of constructive stuff in your channel, unless you did a lot of stuff to get them to go away. So how many more of these do we have to talk about? Review Tech USA obviously leaned into the drama and the emotions, and he's had constant problems with all kinds of stuff, including when he's tried live streaming. But hey, if he's at the point where he can't be a constructive commentator because his audience is looking for him to be overly emotional and stuff along those lines, what do you do, especially as a full-time content creator? See what I mean? It's just... And then we come to today. Of course, we talk about Ice Poseidon. Ice Poseidon, before he, of course, destroyed his credibility with the whole CX coin thing, was already somebody who was trying to reform, because a lot of the crap that happened in his Twitch streamer days were because of the toxic community that he attracted as an IRL streamer. Eventually, he started attracting the wrong people that caused problems for him. And, you know, at one point it was content, but at some point it crossed the line. So all these problems with all of these content creators. And then there's the problem I had. It doesn't have to just be these names of big creators from yesteryear that have these problems. In the 2010s, with the layoffs in 2012, 10 years ago, and being jaded from them, and the warehouse fiasco, and these jobs that were garbage when nobody was hiring, the opposite of what we have today, where people can't freaking staff up. There's money to be had if you don't mind working somewhere and you're actually reliable. So you have very different environments, but because I was vlogging, there are a whole bunch of negative vlogs that I was doing where I would just rant about everything that's going wrong with my life. And so a channel called MultimediaJay devolved down to me complaining about stuff on a very regular basis. That attracted some toxic people, just like the tech videos attracted some toxic people. As well, maybe no, independently of that, and then they poisoned the tech videos in that respect. And so when I decided to change things, some of the mass abandonment that I've talked about is from deliberately trying to bore these people away or ban them away or in some way get them out of here. When in reality, the blame is on me for attracting them in the first place with all that jaded vlogging that I was doing in the early part of the 2010s. So, just not worth it. I mean, fundamentally, if you are sitting around complaining about your life in YouTube videos, you're spending your time not making your life better. And I assure you, one of the problems that's sad fishing on the internet is that somebody out there will have it worse than you, and they can start drama anytime they want. That's something that a lot of these Twitch streamers right now who are taking stream time and sacrificing it on the altar of their feelings, sitting there, thousands of subs on Twitch, crying about how they feel terrible, they don't feel like they're accomplishing much in life, or I don't have as many viewers as so-and-so, and that's the biggest problem that they have. Are you kidding me? Seriously. Let me give you just a little wake-up call for you influencer types from someone who actually works a real job. In my area, this is one of the reasons why I had to call the landlord to make sure this wasn't about to happen. In my area, what used to get you a one-bedroom apartment now only makes you somebody's roommate. There are people out there that are buying renting 2 bedrooms, There are people out there renting 2 bedrooms, 2-bedroom units or houses even, and they're subletting. So let me just give you an idea. If I went and did that, so the Geek House was a find in the 2010s. It probably has more to do with my ability to have a consistent YouTube channel nowadays than many, many, many other things out there, especially being on night shift. I have some rather boring videos from the early 2010s with gaming and stuff where I was trying to keep it down to not wake the neighbors, and it never worked. I couldn't do this if I was in my old place, which is weird because I have that flashback dreams thing. Where, I dream about having lived in somewhere else or being back in high school or back in college or something like that. But let me just tell you folks how it would work. If I went to one of these ripoffs where you pay a 1-bedroom apartment's rent to just have a room in a house or something like this, stuff along those lines. If I was just somebody's roommate, now we got different schedules. Do they smoke or not? I only have a room. Do I even have room for computers or stream setup or whatever? And then how do, what's the sleep schedule? Who's making noise? Are they going to dox me if I move out? Bottom line is these would be strangers. These are people that I could not trust. These would be people that I just couldn't trust. And I think the most I could do is maybe make video essays, because it would have to be YouTube videos. Could it even be tech videos? Could I even bust out a camera? Especially if they had a dog or something that wouldn't stop barking. So, I mean, if you look at, for example, the setup of Greenham Gaming with some of the moves he's made in the past couple of years, You can see why. I mean, it might even take OBS and its noise blockers to even record narration for YouTube videos. But you see what happens? I become one of these roommates. I'm stuck with their Wi-Fi, so whatever internet speed they're paying for, how congested it is, and you know the bandwidth use and blah blah blah. Would probably be throttled by QoS on their router. So I'm stuck with that and the flakiness of wireless. I don't have anything as far as a reliable connection goes. I think I'm done streaming just by living in one of those places. And I'm probably done YouTubing for nearly everything that I do, other than gaming videos or video essays that don't require an actual proper setup. And then we got to think about what the schedules are. Things would radically change because of this. But you know what? There's people out there, that's all they can afford. And so I wonder how many stifled content creators out there. I wonder how many stifled content creators out there are upset because they feel like they're getting shortchanged because everything's just too expensive. They can't afford anything. They can't even afford a studio apartment. They're stuck being someone's roommate. And then they tune in to somebody making $100,000 a year from Twitch sub revenue alone, pre-tax, complaining about some first world problem. And they're wasting stream time doing this. Ridiculous. Let's take a look at some of this Cook Sucks crap here. I see here. So there was somebody who was like, you got to stop begging people for subs and money on your Twitch. So here's how it all began. There was a tweet. There was a tweet where was it? Yeah, here we go. Put this one on the screen. So he started doing this in this Yugi collab last night, which was a 3-way collab between Yugi TV, pictured here, between Yugi, Hosu from EXBC, and Cook Sucks. 3 people whose combined audiences should result in more concurrent viewers than this. Should have been like 3K or more. And so here's Berry 0314, was on the cover of, I believe, Korean Maxim or something. She's a chat streamer these days. That's some IRL. She came down with COVID. She was stuck home, quarantine, sore throat, raspy voice, didn't bother with makeup, just chilling in her bedroom like, hey, chat, I'm sick, da-da-da. And she even got hit with a fatigue wave from COVID and actually, went to sleep on stream for a bit. And I was like, no, I can't do this. I don't want to do a sleep stream. I'm going to stop everything. Bam. So this happened. At the very same time, there was also, I checked the Sully gnomes of this afterwards. She also did better for that stream. Remember, she's just home sick by herself, quarantining because of COVID. She did better on maximum viewers and average viewers than this 3-way collab. So that's why I satirically and sardonically came in and said, you let Cook Sucks hijack your stream and whine for subscribers, you lose to Barry. So think about it, a lot of this collabing going on right now, and we talked earlier about the changing scene of streaming and the bursting streamer bubble. We got to ask ourselves, how much is there going to be a drop off in viewership? Because everything that happened in early 2020 with the pandemic lockdowns is going in the other direction. And of course, we also have to talk about Twitch changing their platform to address criticisms, bring in more algorithms, and try and get people to use Twitch more as a browsing type thing than watching the same couple of streamers over and over again, and also to have other streamers ready for them to watch should they for some reason tire of the ones they're watching right now. There have been signs with Twitch's UI upgrades and stuff that they're trying to set it up so that the viewer always has that kind of a good experience. They're never stuck without something to watch. The advertising thing and the sub split thing is a totally separate issue from that. But you have all of that going on, and all these collabs, were it not for their exotic locales, would pretty much just resemble streamers with declining audiences propping each other up like a bunch of drunks trying to show that they can stand up by propping each other up, so to speak. Think like 3 drunk people who can't stand up on their own, so they kind of like jam into each other's backs and they stand up that way or something, if they could even coordinate it. It's just... There's a reason why there's never-ending collabs, streamer houses, and orgs doing everything now. And everybody's trying to take all the trips now, ASAP. Like there's some sense of urgency for everybody who's anybody in Twitch, in American Twitch, to travel the world and stuff like that. And Cook Sucks has been part of that. Let's see here. He comes in, some bozo, I think this is Instagram. He's like, hey, do I think I really care about whoring myself and begging for subs on my friends' streams? I'm trying to get them paid, loser. Here's the thing, though. If this guy is just as, oh, look, it's DJ. My wife got affiliate and she got overwhelmed by the onboarding process. Yeah, or there's a streamer named Cook Sucks. I think he's hilarious, actually. I think he's very entertaining. The problem is he's overdoing this grumpy uncle thing. He's this grumpy old guy thing more so than I am. And I got a feeling that if he's anything like the way he portrays himself on camera, then we're just going to sit back and we're going to watch another content creator who can be entertaining and put on a darn good stream wind up destroying himself with his own emotional issues. So similar to all those YouTubers that we talked about earlier who wound up with an audience they couldn't handle. So I said, hey, you'll give an F when you become the reason why people stop watching. I've been doing this a long time. More viewers come to replace the few that left. It's not just the size of the audience, but who's in it. Yep, that's me being a nerd right there. Yeah, my audience is awesome. Who is yours again that you think you're qualified to make any criticism? Hey, everybody say hi in the chat to prove to this guy that I'm not streaming to dead air. Yes, I do have an audience, but it works differently on YouTube. It's not just the folks that happen to like what I do and tune into the streams that are obviously as night shift as I am and stay up as late as I do as a result of that. It's not just these folks that are the audience. I deliberately design these streams to be watched after, to be watchable or listenable after the fact. So that way, and there are views and whatnot that pop up after the fact because this is YouTube. Your content isn't dead the minute you're no longer live. That's why I have a stream of Elder Scrolls Online, of all things, poking around on the PTS, which actually has numbers on par with my tech videos. Never thought I'd see that from anything related to ESO. It's my inspiration to stream some things, to stream more gaming stuff, and make some video essays similar to Mad Season Show. So it's an inspiration for some stuff I want to do later on once I get done with the current round of tech projects. So yeah, who is yours again that you think you're qualified to make any criticism? This kind of tweet, who is your audience again that you think you're qualified to criticize me in any way? You don't need qualifications to criticize someone. You can, as the world has, as we've seen over and over again, the internet is loaded with people who will criticize you even when they don't know what they're talking about. Never mind someone like me, magna cum laude business school grad, who's been involved on YouTube since the early days. Channel is very retro in how it runs, yes, but I am a part-time content creator for a reason. Even if I were able to go full-time, and my content will not let me do that, it's too niche. You have to really be interested in what I'm doing to even watch my stuff regularly in the first place. But that's just not in the cards, because I've seen content creators get destroyed by going full-time. And by the way, little bit of history for you folks, especially the Zoomers, who I understand are known as a generation for wanting to be YouTubers for a living. The full-time YouTubers, like, say, the Review Tech USAs of the world, as a great example, many of these full-time YouTubers who are probably younger millennial or so, maybe they couldn't have a regular career because of the Great Recession. And so they built up some critical mass on YouTube as YouTubers if they didn't lose their audience and had to retire from it, because there are some folks I know who no longer make videos because the audience fell apart. But there are people who are full-time YouTubers that these young people are looking up to. The reason why they're full-time YouTubers is because of the Great Recession. There were no regular jobs, so while they were stuck living with their parents in their 30s and 40s because they lost everything, they tried just making a YouTube channel to pass the time, and it took off. So this is so many people, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a content creator. Yeah, and when there's a talent inversion and boring normie jobs, that term normie is something I'm really starting to hate nowadays. Boring normie jobs, become high paying, easy, something you can handle and pay your bills with, and you preserve your creative freedom for when you do make videos or stream, because you're not stuck in the etc. the mess. Oh yeah, and by the way, let's run the math on that, especially with Twitch doubling down on that stupid 50-50 sub split. If you work in a dumb warehouse job, quote unquote, in this area because there's not much going on, 20 times 40 hours a week is $800 pre-tax for your paychecks. Times 4. $3,200 a month gross income. Let's see. The equivalent of 2.5, as you get $250 for those tier 1 subs with the 50-50 split on the $5. That's if it's in US dollars, by the way. So these crappy warehouse jobs where you can make $20 an hour around here are the equivalent of having 1,280 subs on Twitch consistently year-round. Of course, we have donos, we have other stuff that is like tip income on top of this. But in terms of the reliable stuff, the stuff that gives you stability to know you're going to have the money to pay your bills, $20 an hour, those $20 an hour warehouse jobs around here, dumb jobs, morons who didn't go to college get them, allegedly, blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot if you drive a forklift, blah, blah, blah. The equivalent of having over 1,000 subs on Twitch with that pathetic 50-50 split. Need I say any more? Oh, and I do have some tabs loaded for Cook Sucks, too. So we're going to check out his numbers, too. Well, let's see here. Some fellow computer nerds these days who want to talk about the numerous YouTubers I've seen over the years who attracted a toxic audience that wasn't good for them. Lol, speaking of toxic audience, toxic people don't give you a heads up. They let you snowball until you quit streaming or get deplatformed. So if I wanted to be toxic, I'd play League of Legends or Overwatch. No, just kidding. If I want to be toxic about this, I just grab the popcorn and watch this guy self-destruct. He routinely whines at his own audience. And then he goes on Twitter and makes it worse. Do I need to show him streamer after streamer after streamer after streamer after streamer making themselves look bad on Twitter and being a completely different person on Twitter than they are on camera on Twitch? No, I don't even think he would listen at this point. No, seriously. This guy is your grumpy boomer uncle, so to speak, as far as his character goes. And he's got to realize, content creators need to respect each other and not do this crap, not do this kind of harassment nonsense. So I think at this point, if he wants to be like this, then let me see the other thing too. Yeah, he also didn't handle my smart ass humor very well. He didn't handle my, he absolutely didn't handle my smart. So this is the thing, though. I mentioned once the XQC thing, that despite being the biggest streamer on Twitch, XQC is less than 1%, represents less than 1% of the total watch hours. So in Twitch's eyes, XQC is not big. So how much money does he make Twitch? I don't know. But the thing is, even the biggest streamer on Twitch, it represents less than 1% of the total watch hours in a certain time period. I forgot what it was at this point, but it was humbling to see that. There really is no one streamer on Twitch that is significant enough to move the needle to where Twitch should cater to them. And we wonder why Twitch treats its streamers and even its signed partners the way that they do. There were people out there that were actually, there were people out there that were surprised at this very idea. They had a hard time believing it. Let's see. What does bozo say with regards to we are not alike nor are we friends? What is it? Class nerd. Well, let me just take a look at this too here. This tweet he's got here. I've been bullied by kids my entire high school life, my strangers, my bosses, and now by thousands of people on Twitch. So can you, blah, 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 blah. Don't take the bullies seriously. Okay, let's see. When I was a kid, at one point, my dad and my mom and I were living in a trailer park. And I had a big wheel while the kids in my neighborhood had bikes, and our driveway was dirt. So you can imagine if your weight is on the seat and the wheel that you're pedaling as a little kid doesn't have any weight on it, you're going to skid a lot. So you have all of this going on. Then the kids on bikes with rubber tires and way better grip are all running circles around me, making fun of me because I keep spinning out. So I know what it's like to be bullied as a kid. All 4 years of high school, I was the class nerd, and I was bullied all 4 years. When you go to school with the younger brothers and sisters of the grunge kids, when you go to school with the younger brother, they have a problem with you when you have any kind of self-esteem whatsoever. That was my situation. I was influenced more by the 80s and the 90s. I wasn't caught up in the 90s crap that was going on. I wasn't listening to the angry music. I wasn't going on about how I was going to be a loser the rest of my life. I wanted to get good grades, go to college, get a good job, and, make something of myself. Obviously, didn't mean anything. We are not alike. False. Nobody said we had to be Nobody said we had to be friends either. Quite frankly, here's the problem with Cook Sucks. If he really wants to be this way all the time, and he really is this kind of a person, number one, toxic audience. He ends up as some kind of, he's doing enough collabs that he pretty much has the Devin Nash thing going on, where Devin Nash had high numbers because of the people that he did collabs with. He winds up as a cross between Devin Nash and Ice Poseidon. So the whole palm pressing collabs thing, buoying his numbers. Then he brags about his numbers as though riding people's coattails is a form of success. Please. I see that in corporate America all the time with brown nosers. Being the Twitch streamer equivalent of a brown noser, riding off of other people's success at a time when everybody's collabing because everybody is losing viewers, because Twitch is changing, streaming is changing, and the money side of it's changing too, to where you keep seeing more and more and more Twitch streamers opening up all of these alternative monetization setups. OnlyFans, Fansly, what's the other one called? Ko-fi, Patreon even. A Twitch streamer with thousands of subs on Twitch starting a Patreon. Imagine that. So all this going on, and then of course Ice Poseidon. If you are toxic, you attract toxic people who then snowball everything. But I think the people he's collabing with are going to be smart enough to realize what's going on, especially if he starts having issues with events here and there. He's close to my age too, but you can only take the grumpy old whatever. You can only take the grumpy old thing so far. After too many problems and too many issues with this guy, at some point the collabs dry up because he becomes known for being too much of a risk or too much of a problem on stream. Then what does he do? Cry some more? It's something people say when it comes to collabs, that some people, they become like boring when they're collabing with someone else. You don't really see the kind of personalities on Twitch interacting with each other because people are too afraid of rocking the boat. Well, I guess there's some there's some truth to that. You don't want to rock the boat too much. Anyways, since this guy has no idea who he's dealing with here, let's take a look at some of his numbers here. Beginning with image, let me see, expand the image, please, and let's take a look at his viewers lifetime. He says, I've been doing this for a while. Really, Cook Sucks. You started in 2019. Of course, he does have some TV production experience stuff beforehand. He's also from California, so he probably had more opportunities to do more audiovisual stuff before he started streaming. But the lack of experience shows in some of the things that he talks about. If I bring up the right thing in chat, he probably is going to ban me for this stuff anyway. So he's probably going to ban me for this crap anyways. But because guy with 2,000 concurrents nowadays wants to act like someone with 20 concurrents. So yeah, congratulations on acting like a streamer 1/100th of your size. I digress. because Twitch has an API and there's aggregator sites like Sullynome, let's get this guy's Twitch story as it is as to why he's being such a jackass. If he really is the way he is, he's got a big problem. It's not going to be, it's not if but when that comes back to haunt him the way he's been. But of course, what? Is he going to be like, oh, I'm 45 now, I don't care anymore? He never cared to begin with. Start streaming in 2019. Hey, there's his Twitch affiliate days right there. Wasn't watching anywhere close to watching him in 2019. September 2019. Oh, some bumps here and there, some hosts and raids, some breaks, blah, 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 blah. November, December, getting into 2020 now. The lockdowns for the pandemic happen around April and May of 2020 in my neck of the woods and also elsewhere, as things like that. That's where that's where S-Fangini Season 1 happened as well. A couple of lucky raids here and there, but by and large, having a hard time cracking 3-digit concurrent territory. And then it finally, he takes off at exactly the time that I would expect someone who benefited from the lockdowns to break into 3-digit territory. Some breaks, some other stuff here and there, and then 3 digits, 3 digits, 3 digits. Couple of lucky breaks into 4 digits in 2021. But in March of 2022, we start seeing consistent, well, it is declining. In March of 2022, we start seeing persistent 4-digit concurrence. What happened in March? Thailand. Everybody's taking trips to Thailand. Restrictions are lifted. Streamers snag cheap tickets over before the prices go back up because of increased demand, blah, blah, blah. They go to Thailand and Vietnam, or in this case, he's in Korea. He's in Korea now. But yeah, Thailand, here we go. Yep. Exotic locale, people partying, lots of stream content. Jay Streezy had a video crack 100,000 views where he's interviewing people in Bangkok in the middle of a very loud party night there as people are partying because tourism takes off again in Thailand, even though COVID is still a thing over there, more so than in the United States. So Thailand. And then, but we start seeing already down hanging out around like $2,000 or so. Question is, how much is this sustainable right here? And let's go over to this. Look at the sub split. Subs tracker on Twitch tracker here. We already talked with regards to his collabs with Jay Streezy and stuff like that, how he has these issues, how, he's like around 2,000 subs and stuff. Well, let's see here. Say like around 1,000 or 1,800 or something along those lines. This is just sub revenue. It's not donos or bits or anything. We talked about that $20 an hour job. 20 times 40 times 4, 3,200 divided by 2.5. So the equivalent of about 1,280 subs. That's a warehouse job around here. The equivalent of 1,200 subs on Twitch. So anytime he's below, let's just round it to like 1,300 or so. Less than 1,300 subs, he's making less money pre-tax from his sub revenue than someone working a dumb warehouse job around here. So when does that happen? And oh, by the way, hails from California, higher cost of living than in Connecticut. So let's see here. Nope. The magic number is, what was it again? Magic number is 1,300. Nope, almost. Nope, almost. Nope. Finally, 1, 2, 3, 4. Didn't sustain it. 1,300, I think, is the number. Yeah, so barely with that one. Nope. And now we get to this. Now we get to Thailand here. If he sustained this is a good middle class income, close to $100,000 a year. The question is it going to be sustainable? Or will people lose interest in seeing Thailand for the umpteenth time because everybody's going there? So it's just, of course, he could always pick up a Western audience and a Korean audience and play the exchange rates against each other. So he could always just do that kind of crap. So go to Thailand where the baht is like 30 something to the dollar, or Vietnam where the dong is also a place where you can go with Western money and do very well there. I don't know. Streezy's doing all right for himself over there, but it's just a matter of, especially if he has a Korean audience, the won will be similar in this case. The question is, does it sustain and who's involved in this? So when the shakeout is over, who is he left with? And most importantly, what is he left with? Because it's not just, like we've mentioned earlier, it's not just streaming. Well, earlier, as in I've talked about this in prior discussions, it's not just streaming that has this problem. It's not just streaming that has this problem here. You look at Howard Stern, contrarian, shock jock, found out the hard way, or not found out the hard way, found out in college, to my surprise, that he was a concealed carry. I'm like, so you make people upset as a shock jock, and you get to the point eventually where you have to start carrying a gun everywhere you go. Do you really want to live like that? And then there's YouTube. I mean, so what if YouTube, demonetizes his videos or something like that, or things like that, or kicks him out of the partner program or something along those lines? It's like, seriously. We know YouTube has its quirks compared to Twitch and vice versa. But yeah, if you have to choose between a big audience and a good audience, you want the good audience, not the big audience. And there are other streamers too that are having audience problems too. Well, I mentioned Ginny TTY earlier. She's a wonderful example of this. While we're doing that, let me just check out his channels. I'll just go to his offline chat and see if I'm banned. See what this guy did here. He wants to be a douche about everything. Site is muted, so he's hosting EXBC. See, and pop open the chat thingy here. No, go back to chat. Oh, not banned or anything. I don't know. If he understands that I'm a smartass and I have smartass humor, maybe there could be some hope for this kind of crap. But otherwise, what are they? So EXBC, what are they at for this kind of crap? What are they at for viewers right now? Let's see. Yeah, $2,000. That's not an exciting number given the sizes of the audience, especially with these folks having picked stuff up on those Asian time slots too. Oh, he goes to Thailand. Yeah, but Thailand and Korea aren't that far from each other. These numbers should be higher for all three of these, but fundamentally, especially when we took a look at his numbers, and he's only been streaming 3 years. So he's a spring chicken when it comes to being a content creator, as opposed to someone who's been on YouTube for 15 years at this point. It doesn't have to be me either that he compares himself to. We can talk about, comparing him to somebody like Blunty or something like that. One of the OGs from YouTube that still does stuff nowadays and has dealt with all kinds of crap over the years, and seen the scandals and seen people come and go and seen people destroy themselves and their credibility because of this kind of stuff. No. So what kind of audience does he want? Good audience or big audience? I did mention Ginny earlier, so let me just say what the deal is with her. Ginny TTY is not somebody that I watch a lot anymore because of her audience problems. So, number one, the issues I have with Discord and people not using it correctly. Her Discord is the only place where I've had people harass me directly in the chat channels and stuff like that. Even when I didn't type anything, if the whole MultimediaJay is typing thing showed up, somebody would give me trouble. Also off-platform harassment, things like that. So bottom line, Ginny had some serious problems with toxicity in her chat. Then there was the whole boyfriend fiasco, and the drama and the way she handled it, as happens with these kinds of things, attracted more toxic people. And now there is an entire website devoted to her haters. That's like a hangout for her haters. And I read some of the crap that they post there. If she streams like 6 hours instead of 10 hours, they'll start thinking, oh, is her boyfriend there? Is her boyfriend there? I mean, these people are just nuts. And you could be like, oh, look, somebody with a dedicated hate group that is, trying to undercut them as a streamer and, sabotage and spread rumors and, harass her with sock puppet accounts. And I'm like, fundamentally, as a content creator, you need to choose who you want in your audience, because if you don't, you may not like the result whatsoever. You may not like the result. So that's really the thing with that. Don't forget, she's been steering the ship, so to speak. So the haters that she's attracted, then she didn't bore them away, and doubled down on the wrong things. And now she has more of a dedicated group of people who just want to watch her have problems. But you could have seen this coming with some of the toxicity before any of these scandals happened. With the way her chat behaves versus, say, someone like Yugi, who went the longest time without even needing moderators. She got to like 700, 800, 900 concurrents, not needing to have mods in her chat because everybody was having a good time. Everybody was having a good time. And then she ruined that because of a few bad apples. Now there's more consistent bad apples. And now she has, this other stuff. Now she has other problems nowadays as well. That she was better in 2020. Truth of the matter is, fundamentally, the way she was in 2020 was a lot more enjoyable and a lot more watchable. Now the baggage is doing its thing with her. But, if you don't handle toxicity correctly, it causes problems for you. It may not lead to the destruction of your channel, but it will limit your potential here. And what happens when you become too much of a hot potato to be worth collabing with? That's the question Cooksucks is going to have to contend with. If he doesn't just make an excuse, I'm old anyways, no matter what. You can see the signs of it. Check out, when someone does that dono where he has to rip his shirt off like Hulk Hogan back at WrestleMania in the 80s or something. There's a thing where I think if someone donos $100, he rips his shirt on the spot no matter where he is. Yeah. Then he complains about it if it's in a weird place. I'm like, look, it's money, yeah. But when you attract people who want to do that at the worst possible time, what do? Now, and how about, his twerking skills, which is where that Nike logo that he has comes from, because he's, for some reason, really good at twerking despite being close to my age. So that's another thing, too, where people don't know at exactly the most toxic time, and now he might be at like some fancy restaurant, now he has to twerk because he's on stream. It's like smaller versions of what happened to Ice. I think this all boils down to, and I think this all goes back to something that I think we've been seeing throughout all of this, is that the internet does not replace the need for social skills. The internet just does not replace the need for social skills whatsoever. You do your thing, and making friends and acquaintances and things like that, I know it's the internet, so you take it with a grain of salt versus real life. But the rules haven't changed. You really are, essentially, when you're trying to grow a channel, trying to meet people. And what kind of people you meet determines how it goes. Kind of like marketing, kind of like, what companies do. But the personal side of it's still there. People are looking for someone who is relatable and stuff like that. But if you're attracting people because you're going around as the biggest beta on Twitch, whining to your audience, whining about things, and only occasionally being something resembling level-headed, and then being a hot potato when people collab with you, when you have an audience that wants the worst for you, you don't get to complain. And I wish I could say this was a Twitch streamer problem, but it's not. Some of the YouTubers I mentioned earlier who've made like FUD videos and they've had drama problems had the exact same problem. You attract people because of negative stuff, you end up with a negative audience. It's just the way it is. I've dealt with it myself as well. There's even a time when I banned somebody who was really, really antagonistic on the way out because of it. But that was my fault. I was the one who made these kinds of people want to stick around and then never see anything constructive from me whatsoever. They always wanted to see me upset. They always wanted to see me whine and complain about stuff. And so, many deleted vlogs later, and many changes to the channel later, to the extent that certain people don't want to watch anymore, mission accomplished. I suppose if we're talking about this, we should also mention the problem with one of the problems with XQC. At his size and with the amount of nonsense that goes on with the people that watch his streams, it got to the point at one point where he couldn't raid anybody because everybody that he banned in his chat would now be unbanned and stuff like that. And he basically, he couldn't even raid anybody because it'd be a mountain of harassment because the mods on the raided channel would have to catch up to what he had and stuff like that. But I mean, was the money and the fame really worth having a huge audience of like kids? Especially when you're talking about brands and sponsorships, which is where sometimes there can be more money from brands and sponsorships than there is from doing stuff on Twitch, as some folks like Asmongold have been talking about lately. Sometimes there can be more money from the right sponsorship than there is from entire months of doing stuff on Twitch. So when people are calling your fan base juicers because they know that your audience is mostly kids, what does that do with regards to, what you can do over on YouTube or over on Twitch? Then you go to YouTube and now you're tripping the COPPA filter and made for kids or something like that. You got to figure that whole mess out. So, anyways, Cook Sucks can call me toxic all he wants. Doesn't change the fact that he's wrong. If I want to be toxic, I'll be one of those people that sits there and keck W's when somebody pays the dono to make him rip his shirt at the worst moment possible. I don't think I will at this point. It'd be cool if he could just be, a grumpy old guy on Twitch and be done with it. But if he wants to just go barreling into the mistakes that I've seen streamers 1/100th his size make, when the consequences kick in, we'll check those charts in a couple of months. When the whole never-ending collab vacation is over, then what? Guy was already talking about whether he wanted to quit streaming, and the numbers before this current surge basically were on par with Jay Streezy, who, by the way, is changing up what he does in general. Not streaming as much as he used to. Focusing more on YouTube and TikTok, so he's more of a general purpose multi-platform content creator nowadays. Kind of sad because I thought that Streezy would be one of the guys I'd be watching the most this year, and he just completely cratered on Twitch. And then he divided and conquered himself with his 2 accounts because when he's testing equipment, instead of doing a science and technology stream, he just jumps on his alt account. So real disappointing. Ray too, by the way. I was hoping I'd watch a lot of her stuff, but then she changed time slots, so she doesn't really fit when I think Just Keth might actually be the Thai streamer who might actually be, if I stay on night shift, the one I watch the most this year because I keep falling asleep to the stuff she's doing in Bangkok or somewhere else in that country. Keth is someone who's really cool, though. She actually has a smart-ass sense of humor. I wish I could say the same about Cook. I can't believe this guy. I really don't know whether I even want to watch the inevitable snowballing of him being an emotional basket case on stream and the negative effects it's going to have, because I've already seen it with YouTuber after YouTuber after YouTuber after YouTuber. At what point do you just let a content creator stew in their own pot? Let's check up on some chat stuff here, particularly with DJ stopping by here. Let's see here. Wife got affiliate, got overwhelmed by the onboarding process. That's standard stuff. Same thing happens at YouTube partner as well. The big problem I have with Twitch affiliate is the exclusivity clause, as well as Twitch just overall being very underwhelming in terms of what they offer versus YouTube. I say that Twitch as a platform with its popularity is living on borrowed time. If YouTube and Facebook get their act together, it is big problems for Twitch. Now, Saikuno actually came over to YouTube Gaming. The problem I have with that is that YouTube should not be buying their talent. That was Mixer's mistake. They need to work on their platform. And as we saw with the rollout of Live Redirect as a raids feature, it's underwhelming, and it's probably not going to work properly for the first iteration or so. Definitely not a YouTube answer to Twitch raids. It has similar functionality, but it has some very important limitations, particularly that, other channels have to authorize you by default. She and her friends want me to switch back to Twitch, but after reading the affiliate contract, the exclusivity is what turned me off. Well, here's the situation. Oh, cool. So you're streaming on YouTube now? I'm going to have to upgrade my sub, DJ, to... Oh, cool. So you're streaming on YouTube now. I'm going to have to upgrade my sub to a rung bell if it isn't already. Because that's how the everything works with the notifications. Truth of the matter is, the people that should stream on Twitch are the people that are established on Twitch. If you're not established on Twitch, don't go going crazy with that, because how many times do you have to show those Statista numbers? Twitch is far from the largest social media platform in the world. YouTube eclipses the living daylights out of Twitch, and Facebook more so. If Facebook got their act together, even YouTube would be in trouble. It'd be red versus blue, literally. So you have all of this going on and stuff along those lines. And then you have to think about the fact that there's a budding VOD culture, as Twitch streamers would call it, over here on YouTube, where people are watching streams after the fact. They're treating them like radio shows or whatever. The algorithms are recommending them. You're checking them out. Use the metadata to put in chapters and put clips on them. And, you can have a ball with this. Matter of fact, let me check my clips on YouTube. I don't think I have one for, let me see this. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Da, 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 da. See here. Comments, subtitles, blah, 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 etc. Settings. What was I looking for with this here? Close that out. I think I'm in the creator dashboard. That's why nothing makes any sense. So, MultimediaJay, blah, 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 blah. How many subscriptions do I have? Let's look that up. Let's see here. Manage today. Oh, that's not it. Subscriptions, 980. Oh, I do have about 1,000 YouTube subs. So I don't know if my subscriptions are public, I don't know what kind of a difference it would even make in the first place. I'm subbed to 1,000 different channels. I can't even keep track of them all. There's probably some hot potato in there somewhere. But let me see. Oh yeah, my clips. I didn't make a clip actually. E-Machine 2016, Tiong E4, Heel J, Cruising USA, those effing coconuts, you made me so very happy, etc. Let's see. Doc being Doc, Yugi Robix, but Jay the Streamer Awards cost 300 grand. Oh, you're having the crab. Let me get you some tools. No, I didn't make anything of that ESO stream. Not at all. It was the other ESO stream that had it there. But yeah, it was really cool to see an ESO stream rival the tech videos in terms of views and activity. Now we just got to figure out what to do about YouTube and the never-ending algorithms and small channels getting stomped on here. That dream of being like PewDiePie, I realized it's a dream like winning the lottery. Why would you want to be PewDiePie anyways? Because, what exactly does PewDiePie even do these days except live stream a little? Does he make money playing video games like he did around 2010 or so? Is he still screaming at video games and that's his friend? Probably not. It's more of a personality thing. The other thing, too, with this is that you look at, for example, music. You look at popular music bands and stuff like that and see them come and go. There's really no guarantee that anything that depends on popularity will stay popular forever. I still think people are better getting hard skills more than anything. I saw there's a Twitch and it's junk compared to what I saw prior to the apocalypse and losing partnership on YouTube. Ginny is running into a similar situation. I don't know about the situation with Chris Chan. Is dealing with it somewhat better. The problem I have here, it's this. Never be PewDiePie for me because I don't want to reach with thousands of eyes looking at me. So really, that's the thing, too. The Ginny situation is, I don't even watch her very much anymore. I saw her underwater drone stream and stuff. Fundamentally, it's just a lot more interesting people out there to watch these days, especially when she just doubles down and just runs something that already works into the ground. She does have YouTube videos. I could probably check those out as well. But the thing is, nearly everything that Ginny could do to change your situation, Hachabi already does better. Hachabi reminds me a lot of my style, except she's got better equipment, and her color is pink instead of blue. But Hachabi was totally ahead of the curve. She's amazing. Streams, but doesn't stream too long, so that way she can work on other stuff. And, of course, turn her streams into YouTube videos without having a giant, 12-hour-long thing or something. But everything that people are doing now, Hachu is doing first. It's like Hachi was doing like 2 years ago. She had a robust YouTube presence. She limited her stream time to work on other stuff and worked on her personality as, being a personality as opposed to, what games she played and stuff like that. Didn't go too overboard with IRL either. Did a mixture of different formats even as a streamer. Chat streams, cooking streams, IRL. Took some Europe trips, but not as many. And did music videos, short form, things like that. I mean, she's probably the biggest YouTuber out of the bunch these days. Cheongi, aka your crazy Korean auntie, has a very similar style to her these days. It's interesting to see the styles of the two coming together, especially with their YouTube presences. But Hachu, I'm just as at home watching one of her YouTube videos as I am catching one of her streams, which is a problem because a lot of the times there's been time zone issues where she's streaming at a time where I'm not really in a position to watch a lot of what she does. But when Hachu's live, I'm nearly always tuning in. Just sometimes I don't understand what she's doing, like who she's trying to entertain. Like she had some weird thing with a little tiny stove to cook little tiny things on and stuff like that. But yeah, there are many things that many of these streamers are doing, but Hachu is ahead of the curve and she does it the best. She's been doing it the best for a while now. People are all trying to catch up to her, basically. But anyways, sunrise is approaching at the Geek House. I guess the big thing here is this is just yet another, in light of the whole Cook Sucks situation, this is just another example of how a good audience is better than a big one. If you have to choose between a good audience and a big audience, take the good audience no matter what the drawbacks are. Because when all this is over, when you're not as popular as you used to be and not as young as you used to be and all that lovely stuff, what do you want to take out of all of this? Do you want to have met some good people, maybe some people you would consider friends, even if the internet limits that somewhat? Or do you want to be the person who's known, you want to be the person who supernova'd because of drama, because having an audience just a certain amount bigger meant that you had to drop your standards for what exactly you oversaw? In a way, some of this stuff kind of reminds me of crap that some of these companies around here have to deal with, where they have to wonder about dropping their standards in order to fill positions when getting certain people through the door isn't as good for the business as others, depending on personality, behavior, and traits. Excuse me, but that's a discussion that I will leave for the offline world. Here's what's next. So, for May the 4th be with you, going into Cinco de Mayo, finish the tech video. Maybe we work on that thing for Power Query and stuff like that. And we get something that shows the audience ratio for Twitch on a monthly basis that links to a CSV. I haven't done a good Power Query file in a long time. When I was teaching, it was my inspiration back in high school, but now I more so look up to creators like you that are more down to earth. Same thing here. I mean, it's one thing. I mean, I can appreciate a good fictional character like Dr. Disrespect. But if somebody is trying to be a content creator, even if they're doing the persona thing for entertainment value, they need to seem like a believable person or an approachable person. Because when you lose the believability and the approachability, you've wandered away from YouTube and Twitch into the synthetic, manufactured, tabloid world of Hollywood celebrities. And I assure you, sticking my nose into the celebrity tabloids has never been something I've been all that excited about. And it's a generational thing. My dad said, if that's the highlight of your day, learning about celebrity weddings and stuff in the TV guide, you need to go get yourself a life. I think that's really it, too. I mean, losing touch with your audience is huge. And that's why I suppose we should probably mention this. Is the inspiration of my high school? Oh, okay, there we go. I'll have to look up what happened with Chris Chan. I don't really follow a lot of YouTuber drama because there's not a lot of it to follow compared to these Twitch streamers. Let me just be the voice of reason once again here. When did I say? A wake-up call for the Cook Sucks is the world. You have people watching who are busting their ass trying to just have a life at this point. In my neck of the woods, a one-bedroom apartment rent now only lets you be someone's roommate now. Twitch streamers condescending their audiences, quite frankly, by calling them normies, is the most widespread collective insult that has ever existed in online media. Earth to Twitch streamers, these normies you're sticking your nose in the air at, pay your salary. Oh, but streamers eventually get big enough to get sponsorships and get paid more for sponsored streams than sub revenue. Well, those normies helped you get there. Take a seat. Imagine a job where you insult the people who made you. The reason why I posted this rant is because there's this thing where it just seems like these streamers are getting more and more detached and less believable. And that's why I've been gravitating towards simpler stuff, like Ray, for example. I want to watch more of her streams, but she changed her time slot, so it's a bit harder to do so. Ray is straight up, she plays video games. Simple. She's from the Philippines, she's chill. My dad was like, hey, she looks like she's falling asleep. I'm like, yeah, it's called a chill stream. And she just straight up plays video games. You tune in to one of her streams, you know what you're getting. She's going to be playing something. And she has a cute personality to go along with it. Fundamentally, it's just simple, playing games. Vindalia. She, derpity derp, butt spot, blah, blah, blah. But fundamentally, she's a chill streamer. So when you've been running around at a night shift job and you come home and she's fooling around in ESO with some music playing in the background, it will be a fun and friendly place to hang out. So, simpler stuff. But isn't that how YouTube worked in the early days? The simpler stuff was what the videos were. And simply having a personality that people could relate to and seem approachable with things like comments and video responses. So, I mean, what has changed in the past 15 years? As long as you don't recreate old media via your involvement in new media, aka act like a Hollywood celebrity when you're doing this kind of stuff, think about it. Yeah, one last time before we call it a morning here. A good audience is better than a big one. It's something I've known about for a while, and I actually had to learn that the hard way with some of the crap I dealt with in the 2010s. Well, we've gone over that more than enough. Sunrise is approaching. I got to get some more sleep. And then we'll finish the tech video and maybe get to work on that Power Query thing. The Lenovo thing is happening this weekend, and it is time sensitive. So consider this one of the last big discussions stream-wise that we're going to have for quite some time, because I need to be able to hit the ground running on this. So I want the video filmed for the next thing with the E-Machine. Doesn't necessarily have to be edited, but I want to be at the point where I can go around with the camera when the computer gets here and put the SSD in for my dad. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.